Hey, I'm LaRie.
And I'm Nick B.
And this is Dirty Roses Podcast, where two girls from the City of Roses discuss love, lust, and perception.
And we got two very different perspectives.
That's right, because my girl Nick B is a long-term habitual dater.
Oh, for real? That's what we're doing?
I mean, girl, it's facts.
Okay, you're right. And my girl LaRie was tied down and now newly single and don't know a thing about dating.
Dang, well, here we are taking our friends' dating stories
and having real life conversations.
Dirty Roses Podcast starts now. I'm LaRie.
And I'm Nick B.
And welcome to Dirty Roses Podcast. Now, today we are doing a topic that is going to discuss the inner workings of our systems. I'll be a little PG. Our plumbing systems. But just overall reproductive and sexual health, but from a holistic, herbalistic way. And we've got a special guest in the building. We got Miss Nina. She is the herbalist extraordinaire. She's going to get you together with all the spices, the teas, the herbs, and all those things. And we're going to talk about some common myths maybe, and some things that, you see on the infomercials, you see on Instagram, and you buy, click, and have yeast infections and UTIs.
Welcome to our show. Welcome.
And this leads us to our story because, as you know, we start every episode with a story, scenario, whatever, and it could be ours, it could be someone else's. But I'm gonna be personal with mine, and I think Nick B's got always her personal story. So I'll start with mine. I was scrolling through Instagram, and they've got all those ads and those pages, and the celebrities all get paid to talk about these products that make you wetter and make you this and make you that, and you got the yoni steams and the yoni pots and the yoni, you put them on your toilet and you get a box, or you have a little apron that you put on. But they also have the pearls, which is a little bead-sized thing that you are to shove up your hoo-ha, and you leave it in there for 3 days, and then the herbs that you are shoving up there are supposed to create some kind of cleansing thing that when you pull the string and everything comes out, you're like, all this stuff comes out. Now, granted, I watch the Instagram stories and I see the things, and I'd be like, and the girls will have their hands out. They'd be like, "Oh, this came out of my vagina," and I'd be looking like,
"Is it like discharge?"
It looks like it looks like skin, like peeling skin. That's what it looks like. And so I'm like, I'm curious to see if there's that actually in my fucking vagina, because I'm like, why would that be up there? Because I have a pretty good hygiene regimen. But I was curious, and I was like, huh. So I bought some. When you read the warnings, I could not do the yoni steam because I have an IUD, and they say, I don't know how true it is, but they say on the warnings that don't do the steam if you have an IUD because the contractions could cause your IUD to slip and get lodged in different places. So I got the pearl. I was like, okay, let me get the pearl. The pearl was herbs, pea size again, wrapped in mesh. And it's not like it's a soft mesh. It's like a very meshy mesh. And you shove it up there and you leave it there for 3 days. I did that. I was highly irritated. My skin on the inside felt like I could scratch
come out in them girls' hand was the inside lining of their technical term.
Right, the technical term. Yes. And so it was interesting, but I told people I was going to share my experience on social media, so I talked about it, and there was a lot of people who were like, "Stop putting stuff in your vagina. Your vagina cleans itself naturally." And I'm like, okay, cool. I just want to try some natural herbs. Like, it's natural. It's supposed to be natural. So, but that was my experience. So I was like, it was not pleasant, and so I'm actually skeptical. It was very painful, actually. I'm very sensitive down there, so that could be another issue too. Like, I know some people who have steel vaginas that can take it in whatever. I don't. It's not been used very much. So I was super hypersensitive. I had some issues afterwards. It was not pleasant. We'll never do it again. Yeah. Even if I did it wrong, I might have done it wrong because someone told me I didn't push it up far enough. But I won't even try it again because I'm scared. Because now I'm like, if I push it up farther,
and I'm scared listening to your story. I don't even want to try it after this.
I'm telling you, I don't know. But you have a story too.
I had my own experience, and kind of like you on social media, not even social media. I think I watched enough reality TV, and it seemed like a common girls' outing to have discussions where to go to these steam rooms, and as a group, the women are sitting on their thrones with their beautiful satin shawls over them, and they're just steaming and talking and working through their problems. And I'm like, well, this looks like a nice, relaxing environment. Self-care Sunday. And so I started doing some research and looking into it and read up. In fact, I even had a really good friend that sold her own Unipot products.
Okay.
that she created. And so I reached out to her to get a little bit of advice. And then I went to Amazon. And I don't know if that's where I messed up.
Because Amazon has everything.
I went to Amazon, but I also looked at the ratings and the reviews and everything. And so I got myself a little pot because I wasn't going to buy the wooden ones. I was going to say to go get the... No, I got the ones that look like you just left the hospital. And so
they call them the hats.
And you just sort of put it over your toilet. And they were like, yeah.
That always struck me as weird. So why am I steaming myself over my toilet?
Okay, well, because you needed something that like a bowl type.
I mean, I understand the process, but I'm like, so I'm cleaning myself over my toilet.
They have special chairs too.
But I didn't want to spend special chair money if I didn't like this, if I didn't want to commit, I didn't want to have all the accessories and then just be like, I put all this money into something that just wasn't for me. So like, let me just try this out first.
Thankfully, you have your own bathroom.
Yeah.
I have kids and they're both boys and we know how boys pee on toilets. That's why I feel like it just is not a clean experience.
Let me just tell you how this went. So, they talk about boil a pot of water so that you can make this tea, essentially. So I'm in the kitchen like, I'm about to boil this pot, right? And I'm about ready to make this a real calming, romantic moment, right? So I went in my bathroom and I lit a candle.
She made it sexy.
I did. I poured myself in my toilet. I got myself a really pretty glass of wine filled with cucumbered ice water.
Why are you still on your toilet? I'm still stuck on you're making this toilet so sexy.
Wait, but I didn't want to invest in the pretty sad robe, so I just got a y'all remember wait,
little kimonos.
Wait, no, not even that. Y'all remember
we had a moo-moo.
No, it's like the Snuggies. Y'all remember them Snuggies back in the day?
Blanket with the arms.
Hell yeah, I put my arm through that Snuggie, wrapped myself up like Self-Care Sunday, pulled it over my legs, but it wasn't wide enough, so then I grabbed a sheet to lock the heat. And I sat on that boiling pot of water, and I needed a burn cream. By the time I was done, because I freaking flamboyed my woo-ha. And then the stuff, I don't even know if it really worked because it ended up creating a yeast infection. I was like, well, this isn't what you want. And I know it was that because it literally couldn't have been from any other encounter. Right. It wasn't that. And I was just like, well, this is trash. And so now I've just got this hospital grade toilet sitting in my...
You ever had to take a pee sample
with a half-used box of tea for your ass, and I'm just like, what the? It was not good, and I was like, I'm not doing this again, and I'm mad I wasted $19.95.
Well, we was all you spent because I bought mine off of Instagram, and you got Amazon price, I got Instagram prices, so I spent a little bit of money to scratch up the inside of my vagina.
So my question is, I would say, what did I do wrong? And I feel like when I say it out loud, there's a lot of things I did wrong. But there's also a lot of things I did right. That glass of cucumber water in a wine glass, boy, you couldn't tell me I wasn't having a self-care day. Was it the Amazon that I went wrong?
It might have been. I did bring a yoni steam for you. It might have been the temperature. You don't need to lock it in.
To leave the steams, it gets all up in there.
You just want and it actually shouldn't be going inside your vagina
because it's supposed to steam it. Yeah, so I'm over here trying to spread things.
It's really
and be like this
to help externally. So it's to help tone and cleanse the tissues and nourish the tissues on the outside. So labia,
maybe what you went wrong was that you were way too open over your hot pot.
I was very open because now the instructions, as I read them, was that steam was supposed to go up there and it was supposed to, tighten. Kind of like when you get a facial, they'll use steam on your face and it helps shrink your pores.
Yeah.
Things like that. So that was the concept that I thought that it was going for.
Which is probably why you looked at me crazy when you were like, well, why would it make your IUD come out? Because it's supposed to be just external.
Right.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Wait. But you stuck yours all up in there.
Well, the pearls are going.
She's talking about the
steams. Because I remember I said I couldn't do the steam because of the IUD thing. But she's saying because it's supposed to be just an external steam and not really going up your hoo ha.
Oh, no, they definitely said trap that air in. So put the onesie on, wrap a sheet around your waist, don't let that air out.
Spread them legs real wide.
Yes, that's why I needed a burn cream later, because it got in places that I couldn't quite reach.
Okay, so explain yours to us and how does it work?
So this has rose, rosemary, calendula, peppermint, and laurel bay leaves.
Okay.
The rose and calendula are really great, nourishing to tissues.
Okay.
And the peppermint, rosemary, and bay leaf, they all have antimicrobial properties.
Antimicrobial, what does that mean?
That means they like antibacterial, antifungal, that kind of stuff. So most of the odor comes from the outside of our skin.
Mm-hmm.
There should always be like a moderate
Pussy can smell like pussy, but not like fish market.
Right, exactly.
God, so what you're saying is
There's always a certain amount of odor. There's always a certain amount of discharge that's normal and healthy. Now, if you're
nobody wants a fish market.
no, then you should probably go see a doctor.
Leave my yoni steam off and go talk to the actual person.
No, you're right though. I mean, I know we're joking, but absolutely not. Your stuff down there should never be so offensive. But you're like, what the fuck?
But to be clear, we are not medical professionals. We're just discussing like some natural herb things that you could do, that you could research and look up. They're not FDC,
FDA,
or FDA. Yeah, I don't know the FDs.
The alphabets.
I always turn to a gang member on you. I was almost there, then I stopped. So I was like, bring it back in.
Oh no. Oh my God.
Gang banging on vaginas right now.
I don't recommend
Vagina thugs.
anything in your vagina for 3 days ever.
Oh.
Okay. So, and I really would stay away from sticking things up there. Period.
Except for
some things.
There are two things. One's attached to a man and one is rechargeable.
Right. And make sure those are clean.
Yes, that part. Want to hear a funny story I heard on one of those. So this girl, she hadn't been having sex. She was celibate, but she was using her vibrators and she got an STD.
What?
And she's like, what the fuck? She's like, I have not been having sex with nobody. I don't know what's going on. Come to find out, her roommate used her vibrator.
Gave her a whole
STD. Like, first of all, how do you borrow my vibrators? Secondly, why didn't you wash it when you were done? You just put it back.
Why isn't she washing it, though?
That part, too.
So what kind of STD did the roommate have?
It was either gonorrhea or syphilis.
For, like, in air? Like, because a lot of things die out when they're dry. And they require moisture in damp areas in order to be transmitted.
Sure.
So either she was using a wet vibrator. Okay, let's talk about that dysfunction.
So back to
or she had a whole STD that can withstand the test of time.
Well, they do say that STDs can fester and not manifest for like up to 3 months or even longer. So
a lot of those like vibrators and things like that are usually not porous, where they don't contain things.
Well, unless they have like the ridges and the dips and
oh yeah, that's disgusting. She got a ridgy STD. It was in the crevices.
And most, I mean, okay, and let's be clear, vibrators usually go on the outside and dildos go on the inside.
I've never used one that
I do
would be inside.
regularly.
We know what's in your freaking bucket on the bed. The bucket of toys.
I have a basket.
First of all, let's try to sound like fish better.
Don't make it like the 5-gallon bucket, okay?
Yeah, like
a basket.
It's a basket of chicken.
It's a basket from Michael's. I went to Michael's and picked a very cute basket to put right by my bed. I have a variety of options if I feel like it. Which I do clean regularly, thank you.
Good. Yeah. Definitely clean before and after.
Bucket. It's a bucket of dicks. Bucket of dicks. Needed like, yeah.
Okay, we'll get back on topic though.
Yes.
So, and that's unfortunate. But I am curious though. So you're saying though, even with the steams, that they're intended to steam the outside?
Yeah.
Interesting. So, I mean, then how? Okay, but they also advertise that this helps with tightening, and like women are, especially women who are.
It's about fibroids. No, I've seen it. They talked about that. It's supposed to open fibroids.
Yes, they do say that, but
Periods, all that stuff.
all of those things, and they definitely advertise it not so much to the woman that's getting around, but they talk about how, you've been with your spouse, your husband for so long that you want to tighten up, you want to snatch it back a little bit, or you just had children and you want to kind of bring it back in and get that snap back. And so they really push this as though it's something that should kind of be steaming more than just the exterior.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I never knew that.
I don't see, I suppose an herb or substance could help to tighten and tone the tissues inside. I just personally don't recommend putting anything inside of your vagina. So with that being said, yes, external. And if you want to tighten muscles inside of your vagina, we were talking about Kegels earlier.
Yes.
You could try the yoni eggs, which are
doing it right now. You could close your eyes, do 10 reps. Yes. So can you explain what Kegels are, though?
Yeah, so Kegels are an exercise to strengthen the vaginal canal and the pelvic floor. So the pelvic floor is very important in women's health. It helps keep everything inside and helps control the bladder and that.
And it's literally like you're squeezing, like you're almost pulling your pelvis towards your abdomen, like from the inside. So you're squeezing the inside.
Yeah, it's like an upward motion. Yeah,
and you do it like just kind of reps, like a couple. You're doing it right now, actually, because you're thinking really hard about it.
Yeah.
Well, because you talked about pulling it up towards like your belly,
right?
So I was like, ooh, can I pull it to the left?
It's like this, like a vacuum.
Yeah, it is like a suction, something
like this.
But I do know that, like, when I had my child and they were telling you like how to like help reattach muscles or have like, after having a baby, they tell you to do certain things. Like even they have workouts that are Kegel workouts where you can like, you lay on the ground, you do things, you pelvis thrust up while you squeeze. Like it's a whole process of actually rehabilitating your insides after being pregnant. It's a whole thing.
And I recommend that over a steam or anything internal.
What if I just boil a pot of tea and then stick a washcloth in it and then take the washcloth and just lay it, because then it's external? Would that do the same thing versus me having to sit over something?
I think
that's a real question.
I understand, but the visual is that you are spread eagle with your legs open with a hot washcloth. So
I'm by myself. I'm at home. I'm having a whole self-care.
So you would rather lay down with your legs open up in the air with a hot washcloth on your vagina than to sit.
And I can watch some TV. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I think that they're a very great idea. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
If you're not wanting to do it over your toilet,
that part,
sit over your toilet. Other people need to use the restroom. You know what I'm saying? There's those things.
Right.
You can just washcloth.
And be careful of the temperature. I don't think you need to boil.
I think that, because obviously, like, I had a whole heat rash going on. So what is the recommended temperature for something like this?
I mean, I guess whatever is comfortable for touch. So warm enough to open the pores and be...
See, and I was looking for that
therapeutic.
So somebody's recommended that you boil it to create that steep, like a tea, but you let the boiled water sit for before you sit on it.
Right.
So like kind of like how our tea now, the tea that you brought has cooled. So maybe not this cold to sit on, but you steep it, let it get all infused. Yes, there you go. And then as it cools a little bit, then you sit.
Yeah. Okay. So as long as it's tolerable to touch, we don't want to burn ourselves and hurt our skin.
So aside from the negative things that we've had from this, are there any other negative impacts on your reproductive system to using these products? I mean, obviously I did it wrong. Leigh found that it just didn't work for her. But aside from that, is there other issues that arise from doing stuff like this?
I don't think so. I mean, there's always like an allergic reaction that could happen, and everybody's body is different.
Right.
So
but what about stripping your natural oils? People talk about that, especially the women who gave Leigh feedback about, your body naturally cleanses itself, which is so true. If by doing these things, are we removing the natural the way that our body would naturally cleanse themselves by essentially doing this?
Well, so is a shower, I mean, I wouldn't think that it would disrupt that too much. Yeah. I mean,
As long as you're doing it the right way.
as long as you're
There's actually proper ways to shower, and I don't know that a lot of people talk about that. You know, they think that they just stick a bar of soap down on their private,
Mm-mm.
and I mean that's not even the right way to clean your vagina either. So I mean that's maybe even a whole nother topic. Right. Not everybody even knows how to properly bathe themselves.
Yeah,
Which is interesting. Yeah, that's true. We do what we learned as children from whoever taught us.
Okay, so that's good to know.
Okay, so I want to go back to the yoni thing because we are the yoni eggs that you have brought out here because we started talking about kegels and we did some and now we are. So what are these?
So these are yoni
You
eggs.
can hold them up to a camera, whichever camera.
They're made
Just hold them up.
of rose quartz. There's 3 different sizes. So I think the idea is to progress, starting with the largest down to the smallest. And again, don't leave it in for too long.
Right.
We don't need to leave it in all day. This would be just like, a morning workout or whatever. Just
Am I the only one that sniffs these?
She told you they were clean.
I'm not sniffing it for that. It's because every time she says the word rose quartz, I'm like, roses. I keep doing it.
So but question, why do you start from the biggest and go to the smallest?
Well, the smaller, because we're working on contracting that muscle, right?
Okay.
And so, this would, if you have a looser vaginal canal, this would be, but they're also weighted. So I don't know, maybe.
What's the point of them being weighted? If we don't gotta leave it in there very long, like don't. And if you're
just like when you're working at your arms and you have weights, you're suppressing the muscle.
Right. Okay. But if our body is contracting around it, what are we lifting?
You're holding it in because if you don't contract, it slips out.
It's this motion, right? So it's like sucking up.
Oh,
basically.
and then it drops down and you pull it back.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm glad you pointed that out because in my head, I'm thinking you're just contracting around it like this.
I think that's what it feels like. But it's like a
yo-yo.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then obviously the string part stays outside so that you can retrieve it if you pull it up too high.
Yeah, it's not gonna get lost.
I don't know. I just heard that they say that certain ones are for experts because if you don't know what you're doing.
Are the certain ones, are they just much smaller maybe?
No, I feel like the ones that are more like this that have not as long of a string or not as thick of a string or not as like the ones I have are silicone, so it's less likely to be slippery as these are because they're a very smooth surface. But the silicone kind of is not as slippery, I guess. So
yeah,
when you contract it up, it doesn't slide and glide.
Right. I mean, you could just push it out.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Would those ever have to be surgically removed?
No. I don't think the chance of it going up into your cervix is like very unlikely.
The worst part is that you might push the string up and have to dig a little further on accident. But I think it's similar with the tampon, like
right. Yeah.
You push it up and you pull it out, kind of thing.
Yeah, but I don't recommend leaving anything in for a long period of time, like I said. And our bodies naturally cleanse. We can.
So, using these, do you recommend everyone, every woman do something like this? Or is it only if you feel that you're in the need to tighten or cleanse? Because I know a lot of people, they're like, oh, I don't need that. I can just use some probiotics.
Right.
And is this in lieu of that and replacement of that? Do probiotics keep things healthy and clean the same way these products do?
No. So the probiotics, we all have a certain amount of bacteria and a certain amount of yeast. So when we have BV or yeast, that is an overgrowth of those natural bacteria or yeast. Okay. The probiotics help feed those good bacteria. So those bacteria that's naturally occurring in our gut, in our vaginal canal, that the probiotics kind of just help keep those in check.
And we're referring to like the vitamin type probiotics, right? Now, what about are there natural probiotics that you can ingest? Like I heard like yogurts and things like that.
Okay. There's prebiotics, which are foods that feed the bacteria. So apples, bananas, things like that. Yogurt. And then yogurt is a probiotic, so it has the actual bacteria.
So is this a myth? Because I remember being young and people saying that you could put yogurt on your yeast infection and that it would help.
The yogurt popsicles. I've heard that.
What do you say to that?
Again, I don't recommend putting things in your vagina.
No, a strawberry yo play.
I thought about that because I heard that before, and I was like, "Oh my God, they have Go-Gurts. You could just freeze it and just."
Yeah.
But
I
also
consider the really sugary ones. Like, I was really, I'm joking when I say
feeds you.
that's right.
and I wasn't really being serious when I was talking about some strawberry yellow flame. I know those have a lot of, like the Trix yogurt.
Yeah,
use that.
I do that.
But no, I thought like, okay, you get a grass fed, really like a stone,
like a
Greek,
yeah.
So a plain, no scent, no flavor, no additive.
Right.
I'm like, would that work?
I suppose it would. If you were really in a bind, say you didn't have health care or you were in a remote area and yogurt was all that was available.
But I feel like if you're able to get that level of yogurt,
Right. Price of
you could
yogurt.
probably get some monostat and just call it a true.
Yeah. Just like a Stonefield, isn't that what it is?
I don't know.
Buy that Whole Foods.
But that also leads me to a point too that people don't. When we talk about foreplay and things in the bedroom, do not put whipped cream on your vagina. No, I think you're saying legit. Yeah.
Straight up want to be like, yeah, let's try this. I'm like, do you want to die because you're killing it?
Because you're gonna kill my vagina.
I can try it on you.
That part, right?
Like, yeah, that's great. And then we're suffering with
A whole yeast infection after.
great
Yeah.
Cheesecake Factory out of the premises.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, nobody wants that. Yeah, listen,
And not
where's
to
the camera? Y'all might think this is sexy, but it's not.
But dead ass, like between the sugars and the dairy, you don't put dairy in a space that's going to get warm and hot.
Right.
And expect it to continue to be sexy beyond 2 seconds.
I'm like, you use an ice cube and that's it. Don't come over.
Right.
Don't come over here with a push pop.
Right.
I don't want your cheesecakes.
I can imagine.
And I mean, there are products.
The ready whip at home.
There are products that you can use that have flavors, right?
Right.
Even those can cause a reaction. So it depends on the person. Like you said, you're very sensitive.
Right.
People have sensitive skin.
Right.
People who are prone to BV or yeast, sometimes just all it takes is one thing wrong.
One droplet.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it does matter the hygiene of your partner. And,
Right. That part.
Are they clean? Even what type of bacteria is in there.
I was going to ask about that. Like smokers and so
smokers.
I'm gonna keep this random. So people who smoke, when they give oral sex, it seems like it's very dirty. Like you would have to like brush your teeth, rinse your mouth out before. Like it should be like a very bland experience because when you smoke, you're holding a lot of nasty ass ashtray stuff in your mouth, and then you put that on someone's stuff,
right?
Which is not good. And so I wanted to ask, like, what are things that people can do? And I say people because I'm like, we coming from a female perspective, so I'm like, what can a man do to keep us safe as far as our hygiene, our health, and all those things?
Sure.
Especially because those things happen just in the spur of the moment.
Right. And I'm like, even because I'm like, STDs and pregnancy aside, like, our vaginal health is important, right? So what can your partner do or that you can even do in the spur of the moment, even, I think, like you're saying, like,
wash your hands.
Okay, but we're talking about oral.
So not even oral, but all things.
But oral often involves this. Keep them nails short and clean. Okay, wash your hands, brush your teeth. I mean, even cavity, the bacteria that is in your mouth can transfer.
Yeah. So if you don't have dental health, then don't do oral.
Right. Cavity crotch.
It's a thing.
Nobody wants cavity crotch.
Yeah.
Call us today.
That should be a dental commercial. Yeah.
I know some dentists will be like, listen,
you need to do an
infomercial. Need to start doing infomercials for cavity crotch. Some of your clients see an oral exam.
If you have a recurrent, BV or yeast infection, think about those types of things. Like what is it that you're doing with your partner? Is their oral health okay? What are their hands looking like? Are they washing their genitals, ahead of time?
Right.
Because I have a friend who she just kept getting BV, and it's not an STD. It's an overgrowth of a natural,
annoying too.
but it is annoying. It
Right.
stinks. It's
And then also, kind of convey that to your partner, especially if a guy doesn't fully understand.
because there's such a stigma to that smell, right?
Right.
So, I mean, but that's a warning sign of our body, like something is not right here. The smell, the
Because your
feel.
body's cleansing it.
Right. So, yeah.
So what about? Oh, I'm sorry.
I was going to ask then. So then, what is your thoughts about using natural products versus pharmaceutical prescribed items to keep your body in alignment?
So I definitely think that there is a place for pharmaceuticals. If you have an STD or something that could become systemic, definitely go to the doctor and get antibiotics or whatever it is that you need. So that's my disclaimer. The best thing that we can do for our vaginal health is what we're eating. Our gut
And that's what I was going to.
is so important to our entire health. So if you have an overgrowth of yeast or bacteria in your gut, that's going to transfer downstairs, right? So
what would you say an ideal diet is for me?
yeah, I don't have an ideal diet. I don't really push any one single. I think we need to eat what our body needs.
So it's not necessarily like a vegetable or fruit-based diet helps, because some people think, oh yeah, let me eat lots of pineapple.
Well, I've heard that if you are a heavy protein eater, that does come through your body. Like even then, like the heavy protein eaters have like different smells when they garlic or
Yeah.
But I also have heard that when you have more of a plant-based diet, that translates into a more pleasant smell and taste.
Is that true?
But I don't know.
Or is it just the chemistry of that individual?
I think it just the chemistry of the individual. We're all different. We all need different things. And I mean, the one thing that I can recommend is water.
Yeah.
That will keep your juices nice and juicy and
not thick in that.
not thick and pasty or what,
Right.
So
Hydrate.
So okay, so let's talk
body
about,
weight in ounces,
yes,
they say.
Not a lot.
they say for weight loss, it's half your body weight plus 20 or something.
Right. If you're working out
Yeah.
extra hard, yeah.
So question, you mentioned the creaminess, right? So squirting, like versus like, is it squirting versus creaming, and is it pee or is it discharge? Like, do you have an opinion?
Is it really female ejaculation?
Yes,
And so squirting
is the thing.
okay.
It's
and not pee.
There is a little bit of pee in it because it's it's because of where it's coming from. Yeah, but it's not pee.
Is that something that can absolutely be triggered, induced intentionally, or is it just something that happens? Because I know there's lots of guys that that's their goal.
Yeah.
So they're just down there wrecking your whole undercarriage, pushing wrong buttons. I said undercarriage.
with buttons?
I don't know if this is the most mature conversation we have ever had about vaginas. We've called it wuhans, undercarriages, and referenced buttons. But
I think those are all legit.
I'm just saying, I'm grown.
Anywho,
To be honest, me personally, I don't have control over it. I can't be like, I'm going to squirt and this is the goal. It just kind of happens. And it doesn't necessarily happen when you're climaxing. Like
yeah.
Well, and I think that's why a lot of guys think that if they just find the right maneuver, and is that a thing? Is there like a special 2 inches up to the left, and
The G-spot,
and then hook it to the right, that you're like, there it is, this will get it on?
No, I think
You're
that,
just tickling my pelvis.
yeah, I think
From the inside.
you're trying too hard and it shows, and that's always not.
It's a turn off.
Yes.
The faucet broke.
You just, the amount of arousal for me is what it is. Like when I'm extremely aroused, that's when it happens. Yeah.
Interesting.
And as soon as there's like any penetration, it's just
Okay, so this might be taking
That
it
part.
too far, but then again, what's too far?
Hey, on this show.
So, like, if you've ever seen a porn, right, that is specifically geared towards women squirting, and is just, and then, like, is that
It does seem like they are able
to control that? Obviously, there's edits and cuts and everything.
Right.
Like, it also leaves the impression that that's the goal.
But I almost wonder if it's because you know your body, so you know, like, if you've done it enough, you know the the aspects of what led up to that point.
Sure.
And maybe you can just duplicate it. And maybe for that person, that's their level of control over it.
Maybe some people do have control over it. I definitely don't.
How does their body produce even that much? Like when I say these, now again, this just,
I know.
maybe
I'm dehydrated afterwards. Honestly, I'm done.
it's like turning on a sink.
Yeah.
I mean, and now honestly, these are, these are obviously porns, and so they're professionals. And I'm sure there's.
I was speaking personally. Okay, yeah.
You got the whole faucet when you go?
It's like a fire hose.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So no wonder you're dehydrated, because it sucked the life out of you.
It does. The only time I ever get tired.
Okay.
Yeah, it's weird.
And so it's like that on
Not a regular basis.
No, yeah, like I don't. It's the same for me.
that's never been the case for me. So I'm always like, am I not doing it right?
They're not doing it right now. But no, this is a really graphic episode today. No, but for me, it's like it's a combination of clitoral and vaginal stimulation. It has to be. Otherwise, it's not.
Yeah. For me, it's just the level of arousal that I'm able to obtain, and it takes. I know a lot of people like to just rush into just ramming it in and like.
What is that? Was it the two in the hole and the one that what?
One of these.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. I can't get my fingers. I'm a whole ganger. No, I'm just joking. I can't get it right.
It takes about 20 minutes to become fully aroused.
Really?
For both sexes, yeah.
I don't feel like men. They stay aroused.
They be like, oh, you're one.
Let me get the producers. Hold on.
Like, don't be taking pictures now.
I'm like, yeah, that's good.
But
God damn it.
it just seems like most guys are like, oh, you try to have sex and they're ready to go.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't seem like it takes them that 20 minutes.
Probably been thinking about it for 20 minutes before they.
That's like by the time that they come to you,
Right.
Unintended, they've been thinking about it already. So like, oh, I'm ready to go.
I was thinking about this yesterday. We gonna have sex in 5 because I'm ready to go.
Okay, but with that being said, though, so we talk about like even libido, right? And so, are there natural, herbal, holistic things that you can do to improve libido?
Yes. Do tell.
Because we're like leaning like mine. I feel like is really whack right now because it's just I'm not dealing with anybody, and I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
and could you
Wait, hold on. First of all, can you talk about how she just is like,
yeah, so sorry, sorry for you.
oh,
Yeah. No, but like, I mean, I feel that. I feel that. It's like, I think that there are like a wide array of things that affects our libido. And a lot of it has to do with what's happening like outside of the bedroom. So
Nothing.
and I want to say that's where it's happening. That's where it starts.
like stress wise, like what's happening in your work life or your personal life, because that impacts your ability to release and
Right.
be comfortable.
Our nervous system is if we're like constantly stressed and we're in this kind of like if we're in this stress, we can't reach the part of our nervous system where it's rest and digest is where it's called. That's where we want to be when we are like ready to procreate or have sex. Our body's in a relaxed state so that we can receive.
Like the week before your period when you're like super ready to procreate at that moment.
So then this kind of ties back to the importance of foreplay, relaxing you, kind of getting you in that frame of mind. And I understand now why massage is usually like one of the tools that's used.
It's always 2 seconds in, you're like,
hey girl, you want a massage? And I'll be ready for an actual massage.
yeah, you're not gonna get the massage in.
It's be long, like
You get like they start to rub on your back and then it's like,
I'm like, did you even put lotion on?
no, they put lotion somewhere else.
Yeah. Like don't sit here and tell me I'm gonna get a massage and you even.
I took more time getting naked than the massage took. But no. But okay, so with that being said, so you've got like the external impacts of life and situations and things. So outside of being like doing self-care and things to calm your nerves and relax and take care of your mental health, are there teas that you can drink that would be like, hey, now it's going to make me...
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of herbs that are great for women's health. I think what's really important is, I'm going to go back to the gut. It all really kind of starts there. And our liver is where most of the hormones are made. So there are herbs like black cohosh, raspberry leaf, those kind of things. Rose is a great one. That just kind of, there's another one called shatavari, which is like a Indian, like a Ayurvedic herb. I think.
What did you learn about all this? Did you go to school?
Yeah, I have a trauma-informed herbalist certification, and then I went to Vital Ways Institute.
What does trauma-informed mean?
It means that I am versed in how to provide care for people who have experienced trauma. Everywhere from the language I use, the body language, the way that my office is set up. Yeah, and
Did that also fall in the category of like sex therapist?
No.
Mm-mm. Because I know a lot of people say, oh, we need a sex therapist when they're struggling with intimacy with their partner.
Mm-hmm.
And just sort of listening to you talk about body language.
But I feel like it's not just related to intimate situations.
Yeah,
Because herbalism, I don't know if that's a real word, but it could be anything. Like if you're having headaches, like
that's the most common things that I have been helping people with is headaches, gut issues, weight loss, and
I'm gonna come sit on your couch.
that part. But do people consider sex and reproductive situations and issues do they even consider that being a thing that they would come to see you about?
I think that the sex issues are secondary to what is happening within. When you're not centered, when you're not in a healthy space mentally and physically, sex is out of the question because now your focus is on surviving or being healthy, fixing disease or fixing whatever condition that you have, right? If you have heartburn all the time, like you're not going to want to. Every time I lay down, it hurts. I don't want to, don't want to lay. So the more you find center and the more you become healthy, the better you feel about yourself, and the more you kind of want to be intimate, right? You feel more confident. You feel,
That's true.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that there were specialized practices for this. This is actually my first time hearing it. I've always known that people were into herbs, and I guess Googled them is what I assumed when happened.
Or Google.
Don't Google. Really, that's not our friend here.
No, I mean, the internet will say
you're gonna find out you have cancer because you went to the bathroom twice,
and now you're dying. Right.
That part.
I think the issue with Google is that it's not giving you the whole story. And there could be a multitude of things that's happening with you. If you were to lay everything out with somebody who's trained, they can say, oh, well, maybe your liver health isn't great and you're not producing the hormones that you need. And so now you're off balance. Here's what we can do specifically for you.
Do you work in conjunction with primary care doctors to find out if there are liver issues to then say, okay, we know this is true to be going on for you. Let's look at it holistically.
Yes, I can. So I don't treat or diagnose disease or anything like that. If you came to me and said, hey, I saw my primary care physician, they said, I have, elevated liver something, I would be able to work with their plan, their care plan that's already in place and help support that process. Right. Or we can do it without doctors. But I'll never be diagnosing or treating disease. I
didn't be like, oh, it hurts here. Well, let's try this.
And I'm always go back to gut health. I always go back to movement. Are you getting movement? Are you getting time in nature? Do you have a good support system?
Right.
Like that connection with community, self, and nature is like super important.
When someone comes to you and they have, specific things going on, do you then customize these herbs? Like, obviously they all kind of do different things. And this is probably where I went wrong Googling, but it seemed like a lot of these things overlapped in the benefits that they had. So then I wonder, well, how is rose any better than rosemary? Do I need both? Do they do something different combined? And is that your specialty of knowing how these different herbs work together?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you would never just get a pack of just one.
I don't think that there's a blanketed solution for everybody that will work, which is why I have issues with the pearl and the other stuff, because it's like you don't know what's happening with people, and the anything that's like gimmicky, it's not a one size fits all solution. We all have different things happening with our bodies. So
that makes sense.
Whatever I would do, I would just try to tailor to what you're telling me about.
So what are some questions that you might ask somebody that would help you tailor something to them?
I would ask about what they're eating.
Okay.
I would ask about their mental health and that kind of stuff. I would ask about what is their digestion like. And just kind of like, generally people have like, I'm having this issue, and then I would kind of, that helps me to like open up questions to ask. Yeah.
And I know I'm like kind of,
I would actually love to schedule an appointment. I'm not going to be in town long enough to really.
We do meet virtually.
Virtual? Okay, I was gonna say.
So most of my appointments are virtual.
Do you take insurance? How does your practice work?
It's cash only.
Cash only.
Yeah.
Not as like.
I mean, you could cash at me too.
That. Is there an Affirm account I could use?
I wish I could accept insurance, but I'm not quite there yet with where my business is, so.
What now? You say you're not quite there yet. Is that simply just the setup of your individual practice, or is something like the practice you have, is it typically not?
Typically not covered under insurance. What is covered is naturopathic doctors are usually covered. Like with my health insurance, I was able to go outside the network and find a natural.
What's the difference?
I'm not a doctor. So naturopath has a doctorate in natural medicine, but they also use pharmaceuticals. So if you have something that needs antibiotics, they would give you antibiotics.
I did not know that.
Yeah, but they always give supportive herbs with whatever pharmaceuticals they're prescribing. Antibiotics destroy your gut.
Kind of going back to social media, and a lot of things are gimmick.
Right.
You always hear about like the tummy cheese. Are those really helping with? Because I know you can support weight loss with your program.
Yeah.
But do the ones that we see on, social media that the celebrities are endorsing, are those really as beneficial? Because I'm like, they have personal chefs. They're all right.
They got the money,
got some ribs removed.
Right. I mean, they have 24-hour health people surrounding them. Are they really doing what they say? Are detox eyes doing what they're supposed to do?
To be honest, I don't know. There are herbs that help with digestion, that help with bloating and that kind of stuff to kind of help your tummy be flatter. But it really, we can't, nothing's going to work by itself. So I'm really for the multimodal approach. We need to change our diet. We need to get more movement. We need to drink more water, and this tea can help. Right. So in addition.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, and this tea will help with the heartburn and the slow digestion.
Can I drink this tea too? Or is this only?
I was going to say, because this packaging reminds me of something that you gave me before, and I put it in my tea cabinet, and then now I'm like, oh shit, was I drinking my vagina?
No. Most of the stuff I use, I don't think I've ever used something that couldn't be used both internally and externally. Yeah.
Okay, right. Yeah. I'm like, girl, you've been drinking vagina too.
Steam that vagina from the inside. it came out steamed
from the inside out.
Oh no, that's
right. That tea that I gave you before was definitely for drinking.
Okay,
and that's another good tea for the mind.
Okay, good.
So, how do things stimulate your mind? Why are some teas better for your mind over another?
I think it just depends on the herbs and the energetics of what the herbs do.
Because it gets into your bloodstream?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to go back to
your gut and
my previous question. So is there an herb that is specific that's this is going to get you going? Or is it more you're I'm going to give you this herb to calm your brain down, so focus on it?
I think it depends on the person. If you need to be calmed down, then that's what we would try first. There are this herb shatavari that I mentioned before. It's an Ayurvedic herb, and in Indian, I think it means she who has 1,000 husbands or something like that.
Hey, my goodness. I'm gonna have a whole shatavari.
It's supposed to help with that libido and just kind of it's what we call an adaptogenic herb. So it helps.
It's in the grocery store.
You can get it at an herbarium, which we have several within the area.
Herbarium.
Is that? I need to find some
Apothecaries.
on the East Coast.
Oh, I'm gonna have to. Is that where we can Google that though? You can Google herbariums.
Mm-hmm.
Next time you're in town, let's go.
Yes.
The source matters.
Yeah.
Where you're getting the herbs from. Are they ethically sourced? Are they a reliable source?
I got one for you. So, what tea would you recommend for someone who's like an avid coffee drinker?
Mm-hmm.
Someone who really needs that something in the morning to get them going?
Mm-hmm.
And is coffee versus tea any better or worse? I'm talking about black coffee because I know that
The
what I'm
sugar,
drinking here is obviously not the example.
what we add to coffee makes it bad. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Coffee by itself is pretty acidic. So if you have issues with heartburn, I don't recommend coffee. The herb that I gave you before was called Go-To Cola, and that's great for the mind. It helps kind of energize your brain with without the jittery crashing that happens with coffee.
So then also good to drink at night because I know that's the only time I have issue with coffee.
I wouldn't drink. Why do you drink?
I actually just like drinking. So sometimes
You do decaf?
Yeah.
I don't like the taste of decaf. I've had it and it tastes like literally something is missing.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I'll be sitting up watching a movie and I think I don't want to drink wine tonight.
You know what that's a sign of? You have ADD. Because I've heard that caffeine has opposite effects on people who have ADD or ADHD.
Does it make you sleepy? I know too.
But you calm down.
Yeah, I just chill.
Yeah, you have ADD. I mean, I'm not a doctor and I can't diagnoose you. But I do know that
you're wrong.
my little brother had ADD and they give them stimulants. They give them Adderall and all those things. Like if you give an Adderall to a regular person, they is hyped the fuck up. Like they
Coffee is
on crack. Right, yeah. So my mom used to give my little brother coffee and Coca-Cola to calm him down. Listen.
And it worked.
And it worked.
And
And he calmed down, yeah.
Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola. Big difference between coffee and Coke.
Caffeine.
Coca-Cola.
Yes.
No, I would say absolutely. I might have a mild form of that. When I was in undergrad doing a study, I realized that they diagnose women and men very differently. Women are usually misdiagnosed because of just our mannerisms and how we project versus guys who have a tendency to be a little bit more what appears to be rambunctious, and girls are more internal because we're taught to be
Because our brains are.
Brains don't stand. Right.
Oh, mine does not turn off.
Yeah.
That's why I watch Moesha at night, so I can calm down. That's Aisha.
I know, but I was just trying to remix it.
But I do have a question. So are there would you would you treat or support men and women differently, like with different herbs?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the male equivalent to the shatavari is ashwagandha.
Oh.
However, that herb is pretty acidic, so it needs to be under the right circumstances. And like I said, everybody's different, and so it would just depend on what's happening with that person specifically. But ashwagandha is one of those herbs that's like super hot right now on the social media. Everybody's like,
Does it have a good flavor?
I feel like
What's so great about it right now?
It's supposed to like help boost testosterone and help our bodies adapt to challenge or stress.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So somebody did some research and now everybody's like, get this.
Right.
They're going to blanket it and not have it be the right way.
It's not for everybody, you know? So it's really hot in the healthcare world right now, but I don't recommend it for everybody.
Right. And then you mentioned a lot about liver because we were just talking about different things. But what does I just thought of that, like drinking, how does that impact? Because drinking obviously impacts your liver. How does that impact your sexual health and other things?
Yeah, I mean, drinking affects so much. It destroys your gut. It destroys your digestion. I mean, have we all had that experience with a man who just really can't keep it up when they've been drinking?
Yes.
I don't think I have.
The way that women communicate.
I'm being honest. I mean, I've met some guys and we've had some drinks and there's never really, I haven't ran into that issue.
I think when somebody drinks a lot, like daily, it affects.
Okay, then no, I haven't really had someone that's like, I guess, in the realm of alcoholic.
Yeah.
Because it requires you to have the long-term
Or you
beauty
can
lane.
shut,
Right.
or you can shut your face, because I don't know.
We're going to lose the term habitual dater in season 3.
I don't want that term anymore. Jeez.
We have to write it out for the rest of this season, but season 3, we're going to have a new term for Nick B.
Yeah, we have a new term for you too. In the corner.
The freak flag flying. No, in the corner. The corner.
Stop in the corner.
Yo, oh my goodness. Okay. Is it possible that post-show you could send us maybe like some links or some information along with your information, but like some things that we could share with people that they could say like, okay, well, here's some basic knowledge information, or here's some things that you could get for some X, Y, and Z. So I would love to be able to follow up with this and share information out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I would
absolutely.
love to be able to purchase, even though I'm not currently living in the city of Portland. I do.
Yes. Okay.
And there are herbariums here.
But we like you.
Yeah, too. I mean, I would be getting the herbs from them. So.
They can. You can be your personal herbarium shopper.
I can help you pick herbs out, but yeah, or I can make a custom blend for you.
About growing herbs, like are there things that you can do, like the windowsill herb? This
do,
can be your
yeah.
This is your libido herb garden in your window, and this is your.
Can you send me seed packets, and I can do my own little.
Mm-hmm. The lemon balm is a huge.
We're about to patent that.
We are dirty
Okay.
rose.
Edit that out because we don't want no one to take that idea.
You didn't hear it. You didn't hear it here.
Sorry, say it again.
Lemon balm is an herb that helps kind of relax the mind and body, and it grows everywhere. It's a mint, but it kind of smells lemony a little bit.
Oh.
It's almost like invasive, but you can grow that on your windowsill. I mean, there's so many herbs that are in our backyard. That
Let's have a conversation after this because I'm about to go register something in a second. About to hop on that Oregon State Registry. But where can people find you, and where can they purchase your products or your services from?
I am at Materia Medela on IG and Facebook. My website is materiamedela.com.
Can you spell that real quick?
Yeah.
Materia Medela.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll share that link.
She said she said A B. There was a T in there.
She started singing A B C. She totally lost the whole thing. But okay, so
I heard a Y.
that's you. So was it Materia Medela?
Materia Medela.
Okay. And that's website and social media.
Yep.
Okay, and you can find everything there.
Yes.
I love it. Services and herbs and everything else.
Yes.
So.
And I'll be starting in July, I will be doing the psilocybin facilitator training. So if you want to work through some trauma that way with some psilocybin, I'll be certified.
Psilocybin?
Mushrooms.
With
Mushrooms.
So like microtherapy, a micro dose?
Oh no, we're gonna do a big dose of mushroom.
I did a microdose in DC when I was there not last time, the time before that.
How's that?
It was actually,
I like it.
it was,
Yeah.
I will say this, I'm not a drug user, let's be clear. But I tried it because the way it was described to us from the young lady that I bought it from was that it was almost like an anti-anxiety medicine, and it was a microdose. So I didn't see SpongeBob dancing around off the ceiling. I felt calm.
Yeah.
And there was no like psychedelic feeling with it.
With a microdose, that's true.
Yeah.
So there's a microdose, and then which is generally 0.2 grams.
Okay.
And that's meant to be taken like 4 days on, 3 days off, for about a month.
Okay.
With any herbs with the mind, we want to take a break. So we only use it for 6-8 weeks at a time, and then take a break.
So explain yours, what you're saying.
What we call a heroic dose is about 5 grams. And that you will definitely trip. There will be some maybe things that come up for you, but it really helps to just kind of look at those traumas or whatever you're having trouble with without judgment.
So is that like when they see the shamans on the movies, and they'd be like sitting in little circles in the jungle, and they'd be like taking a little drink?
The ayahuasca. And
yeah,
stuff like that.
ayahuasca. That's what it was.
That's the idea.
Oh, and you're going to be doing that here in Portland?
I will.
All right. I love it. Well, Nick, where can they find you?
So I can be found on all Dirty Roses podcast platforms. Also at www.dirtyroses.com. And
personally,
I can be found on Instagram at NickB_NickB, and that's Nick with a K.
Wow.
And LaRie, where can we find you?
I am everywhere with the same name, LaRie, LeighlaRie. You can find me on all those platforms. And like Nick B said, the Dirty Roses Podcast and dirtyrosespodcast.com. And apparently this summer you're going to find me tripping out in Nina's ayahuasca steam room. I think we have to record that one. We have to do. Do it every
That was
totally
fun.
I'm in there with a uni washcloth
looking
on
at-
my crotch.
I'm looking at my producers like, y'all ready to trip out with us? We got the thumbs up. I love it. Well, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you
It's been
so
lovely.
much. This has
Thank
been
you, guys.
fun.
Hat.
And we will get dirty next time. All right.
Thanks.
Vocal